Good afternoon, my friends. Here is our 4G63 that we built over the last few days. 2.3 liter stroker kit installed in this thing. HKS 272 camshafts, BC springs, BC retainers, so on and so forth. This thing is ready to party. Now we have a couple things or honestly a lot of things to install before we go ahead and install it in the car. So let's get started. As you can see back here, we have an oil leak. Also, check this out. The cylinder head is Cerakoted, so it will never get stained from oil like just a bare aluminum head would. Just wipes right off, which is super nice. This whole entire motor is Cerakoted, every piece on it. The block, the head, everything. Back here are where the oil galley plugs go. We need to go ahead and get those guys installed. Try to clean out the threads as best as we can. So one goes there, 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 and there. And I'm going to be using some of this here thread sealant on the plugs. Okay, that's a little much. You don't need that much, but that'll work. It would be sick to get this thing installed today into the shell of the car. I'm not so sure we're gonna make that much progress. I ain't gonna say it ain't gonna happen. I also need to stop saying ain't because I don't think that's a word, but I'm not so sure that's gonna happen. I'm gonna try my best. That is a lot of work in a short amount of time. I got a pretty late start on the day today, if I'm being honest. A bunch of random tasks to accomplish this morning. But all that's done, and we're ready to move on. I always try to get the annoying, monotonous things done in the morning, because if you put them off till night, then they just don't get done. So I know the 4 oil galley plugs go on the side here. Now I have one more oil galley plug. It's the same thing as these, and it's just chilling on the table. So I don't know where that goes, and I need to figure that out, because I'm sure that's important. And if we do not install it, my brain says that we probably have an oil leak somewhere. All right, where do you go, friend? 5th plug goes right there, from what I can tell. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think I'm right. Next up, let's go ahead and get this sorted. So we need to figure out which way this guy goes, because they can go on the cam either way. Now this right here is the cam trigger wheel, and if we don't have this in the right orientation, we're gonna have trigger issues. All right, so on the exhaust cam gear right here with the dowel up toward the moon, this way, this is how the trigger should look. Small plate on the top, big plate on the bottom. Okay, so the small plate follows the dowel. Should remember that. Now we need to get this guy on right. I'm dumb. The housing has to go on first. And I know that. I don't know why I didn't do that. So this housing, this is the cam trigger housing. Bolts on right there. We do need to apply sealant right here, otherwise she's gonna leak. Now check this out. For the cam trigger cover, we are going to be running a nice titanium one from JDC. All of the titanium parts on this build, I decided to just go bare. I was debating having them done in bronze to try and kind of match the zinc plating, but I don't think it was going to be a close enough match, and I thought it might look a little bit funny, so bare it is. It comes pre-installed with the O-ring. Now this, my friends, is a very, very nice, clean OE plus look. I'm really happy I did the bare titanium. It obviously doesn't stand out as much as like the rainbow or the burnt colors that they offer, but it's a good look. While we are on the topic of titanium, I have some hardware for the intake as well. So let's pop these studs out. The best option there is either double nut method, or you can also just grab vice grips, but I like to save hardware, so double nut method will work great. So So take your first nut, it's got a flange, put it on backwards. Second nut, like so. Now grab 2 wrenches. These both happen to be 14 millimeter. And tighten the nuts together. Apply pressure on the inside nut. If you try to loosen this outside one, it'll just break free. So pressure on the inside nut and go ahead and pull the stud out. Nice and easy, buh. I don't know what buh means, but nice and easy. Now you can take your stud and put it in your stud bin with your 800 other studs. Let's get this guy out and then take a good old look at the JDC parts. I don't know if their kit includes just the stud or all the bolts. I hope it's all the bolts, of course. Well, this is actually gonna be quite handy. So factory, that'll be a stud and that'll be a stud right there and right there, as you guys just saw. Now with the JDC kit, everything becomes a stud, which that is gonna be sick. So here's the kit, all the studs, the washers, and the nuts. And all of the studs have the little Allen hole on the end for ease of installation. I don't really want to install either the intake or exhaust manifold until our freeze plugs come in. Not sure when those guys are coming in, but we can go ahead and do some other stuff up front. So this here is the AC compressor mount. Might as well mount up the AC compressor.
Hi, you've reached the Arados Mitsubishi Parts Department.
Hey, this is Devin, looking to order a power steering pump bracket, part number Michael David 374818. Okay, we're missing an important piece. There's a bracket that bolts on right here. I thought I had it laying around. I do not. I went and watched the very first episode of this entire project, and I did not. It was not on the car then. So that indeed is missing. Trying to order one of them up, and that's fine. We can move on. We can deal with that much later in the process if need be. So power steering can't go on. Not a big deal. Let's move on to, probably slap the alternator on the back side. So this guy is gonna bolt on here. Now there is the top bracket that bolts onto the water pump up here, and then it also bolts onto the intake manifold. So that kind of all integrates and needs to go in together. But for now, we can at least get this guy on. And if I'm not mistaken, I should have a new pulley from JDC for this piece, which is gonna be pretty sweet. This is the top bracket. So how does this work? I always forget. I thought it integrated with the intake manifold. Looks like it does not. I think it's the 9 that does. So let's just put this piece, let's just put the alternator up and kind of set it where we think it's gonna be. We need to repowder coat that bracket anyway. If you guys remember back, I was never worried about this crusty pulley because we have this new, very beautiful piece from JDC. So the front of this thing should be ready for its timing covers. I'm excited for these because I went ahead, splurged a little bit, and got myself a nice pair of brand new OEM covers. Here's the lower piece. Nice, timing covers are the best thing in the world. So that guy, let's not break it either. That guy's gonna bolt on there. Now, as you can see, we have a big hole on this side, and that's where that bracket that we just had to order up goes. So, I have a feeling I should probably not put the covers on until then, but I just wanna see how they look. I did debate going with carbon or clear up top again, but OEM it is. Now, of course, the top does have to bolt on to the valve cover, but that's pretty much how she's gonna look. Nice and OEM. All right, we really need to get a valve cover on this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and get that thing stripped. As you can see, she is quite crusty. So this needs to be completely stripped down, all the baffles removed, needs to be drilled, needs to be tapped. I think 5/32 was the bolt size that we ended up using, or that we have used in the past. I'll probably go with that again. And then we need to sandblast and powder coat this guy. And the reason you need to completely strip this thing down is if you just went ahead and sandblasted it right now with the baffles in, sand will be behind those baffles, and then our beautiful brand new 2.3 liter 4G63 is gonna get destroyed because that sand is gonna get in the oil. It's gonna go everywhere. Don't do that. And the best way to get these rivets, or the rivets off, is a chisel and a hammer. Now with all of the rivets chiseled and broken, the baffles should pop on out. Cool. As you can see, there is a little bit of RTV applied. I've never put it back on. Maybe on this one I will, just because I'm trying to be a perfectionist with this build. But this thing's pretty much ready to go. This guy here should come out with a little bit of heat. Factory PCB valve right here, which of course I'm not going to be running a factory. Oh shoot. Sorry, cable. We ain't gonna be running a factory PCB valve on this guy. Just a nice little press fit in there. Before I put her in the strip tank, I like to try to get as much of this grease off as possible. Just let her soak with degreaser on for a while. I did debate doing a billet valve cover on this build because I feel like it would really look nice, you know what I'm saying? But man, oh man, it is hard to justify the $1,200 price tag. Now, Evo 8 valve covers are actually not aluminum. They are made out of magnesium. And the stripper that it's going into right now, if it stayed in the strip tank for long enough, we wouldn't have a valve cover left. So we only are allowed to put it in there for a few minutes. Thankfully, it's just enough to get the powder off. Now, I've never experienced any sort of deterioration with a magnesium valve cover before. The M3 ones are magnesium as well. I was able to put those in this tank just fine, but it's just what I hear. So I try to be careful. While we wait on that valve cover in the strip tank, we may as well install some more goodies. Exhaust manifold stud kit. All these guys are going to be replaced with brand new titanium studs. Now, being that the exhaust ones get, of course, quite a bit warmer than the intake ones, these ones are always a little bit more of a hassle to get out, but we'll see how these ones treat us today. That guy just popped right out like it wanted to come out. I like that. I really want to put this motor in with like everything on. I've been thinking about it all day. With the turbo manifold, of course, the intake manifold, all that. The water pipe on the back, the thermostat, housing. Unfortunately, we're gonna need freeze plugs for that because the manifolds and that water pipe cover all the freeze plugs. And those are still 2 days out, which isn't a long wait, but I'm trying to get this thing in ASAP. Let's speed this up a bit. Gonna run these guys in with the impact because I want to get more stuff done today. and we ain't got all freaking day. And I'll top him off with a good old snug sesh with a wrench or ratchet. Toss our gasket on so we do not lose it. Toss the hardware on so we do not lose it. I know you guys know, but I'll remind you. If you ever want any JDC titanium goodies, you can use my discount code to save 10%. My discount code will be on the screen, and everything that we're installing today on this nice little engine, I'm going to go ahead and link it down in the description box below in case you want your motor to look nice like mine. At least I think it looks nice, but I may be delusional. Alrighty, back to the valve cover. Here's how it looks straight out of the stripper tank. Pretty nasty. Let's make it nice with some sand. I still have the glass bead in here, but when it's just a bare piece that you're trying to roughen up for powder, it works fine. Like I said before, I think in the future, I'll probably get another cabinet, a small one, like this size, for just glass bead, and keep this one with the aggressive media for paint and rust removal. That would be super sick. Oh yeah, she cleans up nice. Bare. Blasted. Ready to be tapped and drilled and tapped and then coated. Step 1, grab a punch with a nice fine sharp tip and punch each of these guys right where the rivet is, or was, the one that we chiseled off. Try to hit a punch right dead center. Okay, it's all punched out. We're gonna be using an 8/32 tap, which also requires a number 29 drill bit. So let's start drilling some holes. Of course, try to drill it as straight as humanly possible. Don't want to go too deep because you will come out the other side, which is not fun. Magnesium drills very, very easy. I would say easier than aluminum by a mile, actually. Now be careful. Keep in mind it is magnesium, so if you do pop out the other side, there ain't no welding this thing up. And after she is drilled out, grab your tap and create some threads to bolt our baffles back on. This stuff drills and taps like butter, man. This is so nice. I like to do this before powder, just in case we mess anything up, scratch it possibly. None of that really matters if it's not powdered. All of our threads are complete. Now, let's toss in some plugs and all these threads up top. We don't need all these threads, only a handful of them, but if I'm being honest, I don't know which ones we need, which ones we don't need. So we'll go ahead and plug all of them off to be safe and get this old girl in the oven. I don't really see a sense in masking anything off. There's gonna be a little bit of overspray that gets in the inside, but from the factory, it's got paint on the inside. Does it really matter? Not really. Plus, these things are a pain to mask. Now, while the valve cover is in the oven, awaiting its powder coat job, check this out. I was browsing the internet the other day, or not, honestly, I'm lying, okay? I'm lying to you guys right now. I was browsing the internet, it was probably 2 months ago. I came across this old school Magnus intake manifold, and I bought it. Now I need to make it nice. It's just bare aluminum right now, no sort of coating. I've been going back and forth whether I want to fully polish it, whether I want to powder coat it, whether I want to Cerakote it, or whether I just want to glass bead it and leave it completely bare. I think I'm gonna glass bead it and leave it completely bare. I did a little tiny test section on the bottom, and I really, really like how it looks. This is it's not like a cast aluminum part, for example, this alternator right here. When you glass bead that, it looks a whole lot different than when you glass bead that. Both aluminum, both a different outcome. So, let's go ahead and clean this thing up. And if I don't like it in the future, I can always powder coat it or polish it or do something. But I think just the good old-fashioned glass bead is gonna be the best bet. One thing I always neglect doing is getting a fresh tear off on this guy, because it kind of takes a while. But if you can't see, you don't really get the best finish. Being that we're not powder coating it or doing any sort of coating, it's gotta look as good as possible just there. So we need to get every little nook and cranny. Okay, that'll work good. Ugh. Ow. Dang near threw out my back. This is just gonna give it a really, really nice raw finish. I think it's gonna look perfect. Let's see what kind of work we did. Ooh. Dang, son. That looks amazing. Oh. Just a little bit of sand in there. I'm gonna lightly set it up on the motor, on the engine, whatever you wanna call it, and see if we made the right choice. Now, what do you guys think about that? Comment below. Should it stay like that, or should it go like a wrinkle black? A splatter black? Flat black? Chrome? Polished? I like it. I'm gonna leave it for now. Okay, we are ready to powder coat our valve cover. That'll be a good true tell as well. We can set the valve cover up on there and get a good comparison whether or not this intake manifold looks good or junky. Now let's get it off before we get a speck of sand in our engine. Start with the hard to access areas first. Alrighty, here's how she looks. Powdered and not baked. We got a slight problem. Oh geez, this thing's never gonna cure. Our bottom element went out, and I'm trying to cure my valve cover. It's needing to cure at 400 degrees. It's been in here for 30 minutes and it's at 208 degrees. I put it on the very top because the top element is working, and I turned it up to 500 degrees on the oven, and I don't think it's ever gonna cure. But while we wait, I'm gonna open up another box. Hopefully a very special box. Well, I know it is. Check this out. Something pretty special for the exterior of this car that every single Evo 8 or 9 owner needs to have. Can you guys see what they are yet? The true diehard Evo boys knows exactly what these are. Now, I did have 2 sets of these things. I gave 1 set away. And now I have another set for my own car. These, my friends, if I can ever get them open, are a set of brand new in the box. Ready for this? JDM Evo 8 MR headlights. These are the matte black version. They do have matte black. They do have the, I think it's semi-gloss black or gloss black, which are the 9 version. These are the 8 version. I want to set one on the car for funsies. See how quality these things will look. That'll work. Wow. Sweet. That looks cool. Well, I just cranked the oven up to broil. Not sure if it's gonna help or not. Let's get a quick temp reading. We're at 330. It's been in here for like an hour. Wonder if it's ever gonna cure. This thing was never gonna fully cure. It was in there forever. But there's a rough idea of how it's gonna look. There's areas that did start to cure because this powder does dull down quite a bit when it does fully cure. So right up in here where it's close to the heater or the oven element, it did cure a bit. This shine is gonna die way down, which I think is gonna look quite a bit better. But there's a rough idea of how it's gonna look. Well, today was an abnormally short day in the shop. Like I said earlier, I had a lot of random finagling this morning. A lot of random tasks to get finished up. As you can see, the back of the truck is full of stuff. So yeah, motor's pretty much ready to go. I just need them, what are they called? Coolant freaking brass plugs. I do not know what they're called at this moment in time. My brain is not working. And of course we need a properly powder coated valve cover. I'm hoping with that thing I can just get a new heater element in the morning and toss it back in the oven. I guess we'll see. It's partially cured right now. If I put it back in the oven after it fully cooled down, get it up to temp and properly bake it out, will it fully cure and look fine? I guess we'll see. Tune into tomorrow's video to figure that out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out, my friends, and I'll see you boys in the next episode.